All right, we are back with those are incorrect team names. Let me switch those real fast.
Yeah. So the teams that we will be seeing are University of Washington at Tacoma on the blue side, and we'll be seeing St. Martin's University on the red side. So we have absolutely zero information on other teams. So we'll see what comes out. First ban is Nasus, followed up quickly by Dr. Mundo. And let's see what they ban out next. I'm expecting to see probably a Kassadin ban.
Well, Kassadin is sitting at almost 100% pick ban rate in both EU and NALCS, and is sitting at over 80% pick ban rate in all of solo queue right now. So I would expect that, but considering this is 5v5 team environment, I am not sure what to expect. But the next ban is Elise.
All right, Elise, very respectable ban, very solid jungler. There's the Kassadin ban. Ban's coming out a lot faster from the red side here. They
have planned and know what they want to do.
Yeah, they've got a list of people they don't want to see this game. It is now up to Washington Tacoma to come out with their final ban here, and it will be Gragas.
Yep. So they've targeted one ban at each, one top, one jungle, one mid ban. Though I guess Gragas can be technically called a mid or jungle ban. Or top lane ban.
Or top lane.
It's what we saw
today. Who knows? Maybe even AD carry ban or support ban.
But a wide variety there, and Jinx is our last ban. So no one really getting focused here, and a lot of different positions, but a very quick pickup by Washington Tacoma there.
Yeah, they must really feel solid in the pick of Yasuo. Yasuo has come out to be a very popular champion since his creation, and it'll be very interesting to see what they pair with him, because that is the one thing you do need with Yasuo, is it is not a one-man show kind of champion. You do need some help to kind of start out the fights to allow him to get his ulti in there. Coming out on the side of St. Martin's is the Leona Shyvana. So do you think that's actually going to be a jungle Shyvana?
I mean, we've seen it where Shyvana's run top lane, Shyvana's run in the jungle. Teams just like bringing out her utility, that she essentially can win a lane, or win a lane very handily just due to the natural pushing. Or Shyvana can actually clear jungles really quickly because of the damage that Burnout does. So she's pretty well utilized in either role, but if you're asking me point blank, I think that this will end up in the top lane.
Okay. So next two picks are picked up. We will see a Lulu Sivir combination, and that's going to be a little bit interesting. That is a lot of kite and chase.
Yeah. And also the good pick about the Lulu is that the giant growth, or is it wild growth?
Wild growth.
Wild growth knocks people up, which then will give Yasuo the opportunity to activate his last breath ultimate. So a little bit more opportunity for him to use his ultimate than just off his own knockup. So a solid pick there. It also hides another one of their solo laners and one of their junglers for now.
Right, so it looks like we are going to see Renekton and Vayne are being hovered over. No, now they change it to Darius. So Darius being shown, will he be locked in? Because that will most certainly be the mid lane, or be the top lane, with Vayne taking the AD carry role. So yeah, I'm expecting that to be a top lane Darius and a jungle Shyvana. Now it is jungler for the blue team here to be selected. They are showing... Wow, could we actually see mid lane Lulu
again?
2 games in a row? Lee Sin obviously able to get into the enemy team, especially if there is a Tibbers laid down. If they wild growth the Lee Sin that's in there, it can be an instigator for Yasuo. But I'm going to be...
Also, Lee Sin's kick is actually a displacement. It counts too for Yasuo's ult.
That is true, it does. But I mean, if you're doing Yasuo's ulti on a singular person, you're kinda... I almost feel like you're missing out on the damage.
Possibly, but we'll see how these teams want to orient themselves. I'm actually expecting that to be a mid Annie. Possible. I don't know. We've seen mid Lulu earlier today, and we've seen it all over the EU LCS. And actually, it's really credited to Zamfira in the NA Challenger scene for bringing that out. He actually got Lulu bans against him, playing, I think, for Cognitive.
Right, and then if I remember right, in the International Wildcard Tournament, there was Heavens for Team Immunity that brought that out. Actually won the finals of the Oceania qualifier using the mid lane Lulu.
Right. So we got one more pick here, and the last pick is sitting on Teemo. Now it's switching over to Fizz.
Yeah, Fizz, LeBlanc. Okay, I'm just not going to say it until he locks in something. And it's Orianna. So, very, looks like to be a team fight-oriented team here from the Red Squad. Mm-hmm. They are going to scale very well into the late game. Whereas the team here for Blue, I'm not really sure how well they're going to scale. We know Yasuo scales great into the late game. Sivir is a fine AD carry, but maybe not in the same way as Vayne. And I think it's whoever gets their team fight the way they want it is going to win here. Because it looks like both of them have an idea, but whoever accomplishes it first will, I think, really come out ahead.
Yeah, and St. Martin's has actually built their team around Orianna a little bit. You know, they've got Leona and Shyvana for ball delivery methods, so a little bit of Wombo here, possibility, but the real question for me is going to be how this Darius performs, because Darius is one of those champions that if you get ahead early, you end up being like this unkillable tank that just rampages through teams, pulls people into him, and then has that execute ult. He just drops the hammer on a couple people and suddenly your entire team is dead. If he doesn't perform well in the lane phase, gets camped early, and falls behind in the scalings, he ends up being this mediocre tank that gets kited all over the place and really doesn't do any damage. And considering that Washington Tacoma has brought Lulu, Sivir, Lee Sin, and Annie, and Yasuo, like, they have 3 different champions who have strong movement abilities to get away from Darius, and 2 who can pretty much slow or stop him in his tracks. So I'm wondering how well this Darius is going to perform. It's going to be a lot on his positioning.
Right. So it will be interesting to see the mid-Annie. It is a mid-Annie.
Possibly. We haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, it's not showing on stream, but we can actually tell in the delay. Well, I'm just guessing because we can see the summoners. We keep them down for actual competitive reasons. But what we can tell you right now is that Lulu does have Exhaust and Annie does have Ignite. So, best guess here from me is that it will be a support Lulu and a mid lane Annie, and I'm very interested to see how that'll do against Orianna, especially an Orianna that's going to bring Barrier to try and combat the burst.
Yeah, Orianna, you usually see mid Oriannas take Ignite, and then if they're a really aggressive style player, like level 1 or 2, try and get aggressive and all in with Ignite. Just because of her stacking passive, the more auto attacks you get on someone, the more and more damage they do. So if you just run on top of them and get 1 command attack and 1 command dissonance plus those basic attacks, it tends to do quite a bit of damage. But Wombat X on taking Barrier seems to signal that he's going to be a little more defensive, gonna wait, try and farm it out. But it's going to be interesting to see how that kind of affects their team, because they have 2 barriers, Exhaust and Ignite. So they really don't have too many offensive summoners to try and win the lane with. On the other side, we've got two 2 ignites and an exhaust, along with the barrier on the traditional AD carry. So that seems to signal to me that Lieutenant Westfield and Yasuo definitely looking to win his lane, regardless of where he goes, and then the rest of the team looking to try and go even or get aggressive. But as we get into the loading screen here, as it should come up, come on, you can do it. Come on.
There we go. Loading screen started up. So we are seeing some very pretty borders, and not quite the same level as last game, where we saw Santa Clara come out with 3 challenger borders.
Yeah, Santa Clara running a little bit higher of a ranked team than what we've been seeing in other games, but regardless, this should be a pretty interesting game to watch.
So let's give a lane-by-lane rundown. We are going to see top lane, it will be Darius versus what we assume to be Yasuo. Junglers will be Shyvana versus Lee Sin. Mid lane, we are expecting it to be Annie versus Orianna. And then Sivir Lulu versus Vayne Leona. So what is your lane to watch in this situation?
I'm going to say wherever Yasuo goes, because I am completely unconvinced that we're going to see standard lanes from Washington Tacoma. I have no idea where they're going to end up, but wherever Yasuo goes, the speed at which they picked him, as soon as they got through ban phase, it was instant first pick. So I'm going to watch wherever Yasuo goes, because I think that Tacoma would place a lot of their hopes with him.
Right, so. And he is the, I'm guessing, the highest rated player on their team. So this might have been, this is the pick we want to get him going, to get him started.
Mm-hmm.
And really, I think there is good potential for him versus Darius. Darius is not a mobile champion. He's actually pretty easy to pin with that skill shot tornado.
Mm-hmm.
So if he's able to get in there and do his damage, the only problem for him is that his wind wall is actually going to be completely ineffective versus Darius. There are no projectiles in that lane.
Yeah, it's going to be a little interesting, because that's why we saw in the professional scene the rise of Karthus to counter Yasuo. He, again, doesn't have any projectiles to block. But it'll help out later on. It'll be especially helpful if he ends up in a lane against Orianna. Just block the ball, stop it from going where Wombat wants it to go. Be very annoying.
Yeah.
But otherwise, yeah, it's not actually going to stop anything on this team. Like, you can't stop the Zenith Blade with it. That's not a projectile. You can stop the ball. You can't stop anything Darius does. And the only thing you can stop on Vayne is her auto attacks. I guess you can technically stop Shyvana's Flame Breath with it. But
okay, so Flask buy on Annie, I think pretty much guarantees that going to the mid lane. Yasuo headed up top by the looks of their start here. And Red seems to be heavily favoring the bot side of the map here. Let's see if they want to go out and try and get an engage and maybe pull someone in with a Darius Rake.
Yeah, let's see if he's leveled his skill yet. Nope, he's not leveled his skill yet, so they're all waiting. They've got the entire team. They're scouting with the ball, so we know command attack is in there. But Vayne sitting at the tower isn't very helpful, so it seems like they're more defensively posturing, wanting to protect that blue buff, or Vayne is disconnected. So that happened.
Mojo Jones, everyone. Mojo Jones.
So hopefully we get a pause here.
That would be ideal. We cannot initiate pause.
No, we can't.
And the players have asked for pause. And there we go. There's the pause timer.
So we get into the pause timer right here. So hopefully we can get Vayne back in the next couple moments.
Yeah, while Vayne is trying to connect, let's talk items, since that's really the only thing we have at this point. Anything really stand out to you at this point?
Road Camelot taking a mana pot along with Biscuit, Ward, and Ancient Coin. Usually you'll see the support just take the coin or Doran Shield or something. Their main item, one ward and health pots just to keep themselves in lane and not get pushed out. The mana pot to me says that Camelot wants to spam Glitterlance, which means a poke heavy lane, which means aggression and trying to push down the waves. So I would expect Sivir and Lulu to start really trying to push the wave into the turret against Vayne and Leona and make it very difficult for them to get into that style of kind of brawl that those two AD carries prefer rather than just kind of farming it out.
Right. And we will see how everything works. I'm a little surprised to see Vayne here go boots pots.
Yeah, not the most normal choice. Usually, obviously, we're seeing a Doran's Blade in a pot. Definitely going to hurt the level 1 and early laning. Having only 74 attack damage against 7... Well, I guess it's only 3 damage difference, so I guess Vayne's got to be running almost flat ADs to have that much attack damage at level 1 without an item. So maybe that's how Mojo Jones likes to play it. His page, flat AD, and then bring boots for dodging skill shots, but we shall see.
The only thing I really wish is that the character screen could actually move a little bit. Because while the pause timer is there, it's immovable, so I can't read the character screens to pull up anything.
Yeah.
So we did have a blue screen on the side of St. Martin's. So we are just trying to get Mojo Jones back into the game as quick as possible. And yeah, that is the situation as we see it.
Yeah. And this is going to be our last game of the night. We already saw Santa Clara move on to the semifinals. The winner of this game is going to go and face the University of Utah in the other semifinal of the West bracket. Winner of those games will meet in the finals, and then the winner of that will move on out of their region into the national finals.
Well, we're finding out that St. Martin's is having their first snow day today. Or maybe yesterday. It wouldn't make sense to have a snow day on a Saturday, now would it?
No, it really wouldn't.
Yeah. So, I'm guessing, is there snow in California?
I have no idea.
That would be bizarre. Well, I guess not in Northern California. If it had snowed in Southern California, there'd be something really wrong.
I'm not sure. But...
Alright, so... Excuse me. We are still, doing all we can on getting the player who was out back into the game, unfortunately. So, the timer rules here, I do believe, are each team has 15 minutes of allotted pause time, and then after that, it is gentleman's agreement whether to play on. So I think 15 minutes should be enough to get Mojo Jones back in the game. And hopefully that all comes to rather quick. Let me just check things. And there we are. Control find pause. There is actually no time limit on it. So if pause time expires,
I see.
and the match is to be continued without the disconnected player.
Alrighty.
So there we go. Even if Mojo Jones does not get in, play will go on.
Alright, let's check back in. No, nothing still. So, at this point, we are really helpless to get this game back going, so we're just gonna hang out and wait to see what the teams tell us, and wait to see if the player reconnects. But until that time, we are just gonna chill and play some music.
Motherfucker, I'm ill.
Alrighty. As we seem to have solved our issues, Vayne is back into the game. Mojo Jones has found his way back to a connected internet connection, and we are underway.
Yep, so comps are back working. Standard jungle starts here. Both junglers are taking their lower side buffs in order to get that high gank. So, let's see. Anything really shouting out to you as an early advantage that any of these guys have taken?
No, nothing quite interesting, though the choice of Flask on Annie is going to be interesting to see whether she suffers in trades for it actually getting the better of Wombat on that one. So, gonna see who's gonna pretty much. The question's gonna be who runs out of mana first there, and who can continue their sustain. Though in the top lane, we're gonna see a little bit of a duel back and forth, and that's gonna be my thing to watch, just because of Yasuo's shield can negate a lot of the poke that Darius can bring.
Right, and Darius not really known for his poke. He's more of a kind of drag you and all-in sort of damage guy. So it's going to be very interesting to see how he deals with such a fluid champion.
And there you go, and that's pretty much it, what you just saw. The shield comes up after a threshold of damage is reached. It actually denies the damage, it absorbs the damage, and then erases the flow. He's actually going to go all in here. And it's not quite enough.
Yeah, just not enough. He actually had to flash out of turret, and he's going to take 2 turret shots here and drop, but not before he picks up First Blood. So First Blood goes over to Lieutenant Westfeld, and he popped both summoners for it, and both summoners are actually still up for Darius. So it'll be interesting to see how that develops in the top lane. But first buys actually for both top laners as Eiler tried to get in mid.
Yeah, it connects with the Resonating Strike there, follows it in. Wombat X just puts up the shield, and even though Eiler didn't get much done there, he did actually force the shield out of Orianna, who is already low on mana at this point. So, actually going to be successful, going to help Yubing, who has been very effective in, harassing him at this point. And again, forces out the shield and forces Wombat to go out of mana at that point.
So, we can see a very aggressive bot lane coming out here from the side of Tacoma. Oh, wow. The Ignite is used in mid. The barrier is popped from Wombat. And Xander comes in. He's going to pick up Yubing. And that will be that. So, kill in the mid lane.
Yeah, Yubing actually, Xander finding a good timing, waiting for Annie Yubing to blow Ignite, go all in essentially on Orianna, who is actually staying pretty low here and is going to die.
Yep, Eiler just moves straight through the minions, does his dashes as best he can, lands the Resonating Strike, finishes it up with the Tempest. So, nice kill there for Eiler, evens it out 2-2, and gold is almost identical at this point.
Yep, and we look like Xander's going to come towards the bottom here. He's actually going to clear out the wards. So, an interesting thing, though, is that as we see both these top laners just kind of going back and forth. Here we go. There's the grab. There's the Ignite.
Yep, there's the Ignite, the bleed going down, the auto attack, the flash. So, this time, ZH here drops his 2 summoners in order to do damage. Oh, a great knockback there. Stops I Am the Meta from chasing down a kill in the bot lane. But this time, ZH used his summoners to get the kill. So, in the trade of summoners, it looks like top might actually be going in ZH's favor right now.
Yeah, had Lieutenant Westfield actually lived through that dive he did to get First Blood, it would be pretty even at this point. But because he gave up a kill to Darius, and actually now Darius is 6 before him, that lane is going to be consistently in Darius's favor. He's going to have the level advantage. He's going to have the damage advantage, probably for the majority of lane phase. And that's going to really stop Yasuo from going pretty much anywhere near him, because if he if he gets within apprehend range, he's going to be pulled in. He's going to take a lot of damage. And as I say that, Leon is actually taking quite a bit of damage.
Yeah, Daedra taken very low by the harass here from I Am the Meta. And yeah, there, just another poke, just doing as much damage as they can to him underneath that turret, and he's going to have to base, or else, yeah. So he's going to base just to make sure that I Am the Meta does not pick up a kill there in bottom lane, and I would expect to see Xander try and get into that bot lane soon.
But here we go in the top lane.
In the top lane, ZH actually does get the pull onto Lieutenant Westfield, actually. Is it? Yeah, it is Westfield. Oh, here comes in mid lane. Yubing tried to get in there, but Xander comes in. The command Shockwave drags him back, and Xander will pick up the kill. Assist over to Wombat. And now Westfield and Eiler trying to get onto ZH, but ZH ain't having none of that, as there will be no gank connection in top lane. Yep, no gank connection.
Yep, a little bit of action going on around the map entirely now as Wombat and Xander are actually going to roam towards the bottom. They're looking for someone, but they've both based. But again, we see Yubing on Annie having a little bit of trouble going in on Orianna, a little too aggressive, dropping the stun, and then not having any escapes once Xander shows up with that Dragon's Descent. And as I say that, Westfield and ZLH are going in once again. And they're going to walk away.
ZLH just tries to get the pull and the damage down, but it's so easy for Lieutenant Westfield to just get away with all of the dashes he has. And he's just dashing through them as constantly as he can, but now he's in a little bit of pain here. The Q lands, and he is thanking his lucky stars that he was not in ulti range there.
Yeah, a little bit of misappropriations of cooldowns there by ZLH, getting a little greedy, not having his apprehend ready. Annie actually wandering up here, doesn't have stun ready, now does, gonna drop Tibbers, and here we go.
Yep, so the Tibbers lands, a whole bunch of damage comes down. I think Westfield is just staying alive.
Nope.
Oh! Last tick of the bleed will drop, but now it's Eiler and Xander. Xander dropping a whole bunch of damage. Here's Yubing trying to get in onto Xander. They will pick him up. So that is 2 kills there in the top lane for 1. So this is a pretty big win here for University of Washington Tacoma as we now take a look at their bot lane.
Yep, and again, Tacoma has the major advantage in this bot lane, 70-35 in CS. Gonna take the first tower of the game, push them out to an over 1k gold advantage. But the thing I want to question here is the early purchase of Mercury treads onto Shyvana, and I'm wondering if instead that money had been pushed onto an early Ancient Golem. But as I say that, there's a big group mid.
Yeah, Road, Camelot, and I Am the Meta tried to get in mid to deal Wombat his death, but Eiler comes in. So a 4-man gank in mid will pick up the mid laner, and now it is left to St. Martin to respond, and they're going to leave their bottom lane in bottom, not even going to respond to this push. So now it is a 3-man push onto this mid tower.
Yep, Xander actually is transferred down here out of the jungle, but really can't do anything against Sivir to push it down. Turret's left with about a third of its health, maybe a little bit less, but now Yubing is actually roamed to the top lane again, and they might be actually getting a little too deep here. Oops.
Yeah, Yubing and Lieutenant Westfield go in, but they were very mindful of the tower this time, not going to chase ZLH under tower, but now here comes Lee Sin trying to get in behind, and remind you, his kit can set off the ultimate. Oh, but the Cyclone lands there as Lieutenant Westfield gets most of his damage down. Oh, but Eiler kicks him on the other side of the turret, but it does not matter. Westfield and Eiler can do the final damage to him. But while there are 2 people up top, including the jungler, it looks like St. Martin has taken the dragon.
Yep, and here we go. Camelot in a bad way.
Yeah, Camelot here gets caught by the solar flare. And Yubing and I Am the Meta are going to try and chase down as many folks as they can. I Am the Meta, oh, there goes a Boomerang Blade. That's actually going to be picked up by Yubing. So they are going to trade one person for one person. They are going to trade this top tower for the dragon. So all around, a couple moves have been made, but with the 2 turrets down, the gold is now in favor of University of Washington Tacoma.
Yep, they're actually going to push that lead out to a little over 2,000, 2.3. That second tower providing a little bit of offset for the dragon. And really, some of these build paths are interesting, to say the least. Annie actually going straight into Sorcerer's Shoes and a Blasting Wand. You gotta wonder whether that'll turn into a Void Staff, or a Death Cap, or the number of other items that a Blasting Wand can turn into. Lee Sin already has purchased himself mobility boots after picking up the Spirit of the Elder Lizard. And Sivir has actually not based in quite a while. Still sitting on, there it is, 2,000 gold. Grabs up the Bloodthirster. And on the other side, pretty more normal. Leona actually looking like she's going to grab an early Aegis. But as I say, there's a 2v2 in the top lane.
Yep, ZLH is going to pull in Lieutenant Westfield. Lieutenant Westfield very low. Wants to get out of there before the ulti can be dropped on him with the stacks already on top of him. So Xander and ZLH are still very strong here for St. Martin. ZLH now dealing with Eiler and Westfield at the same time. Here's Camelot with the knockup, and Yubing, I think, wants to get in and provide the damage. There is the stun. There is the ulti. Lieutenant Westfield picking up the kill, as it is now 4-man in this top lane.
Yeah, Tacoma really using their numerical advantage here, kind of rotating slightly better. I'm really disappointed by ZLH in his, like, conscious objection to using his ultimate, and I'm not really sure what it is, but he has a very big issue with dropping his ultimate. Actually, Daedra's going to go into an Eye in the Meta here, and Orianna's going to be coming back into this lane with ultimate.
Yeah, so Orianna comes in, they back off, but now with 3 other members, it is a 5-man push in the mid, and they're going to try and take down this tower before Wombat can kill the next wave of minions.
Yeah, they're actually sending, looks like they're going to send one member to get the red. Lee Sin's going to grab the red. Yasuo's going to farm that bottom wave that's pushing in. Leona goes for the Zenith Blade there, but can't quite get it. And really, these teams don't seem to be all that interested in really the collective action. They're spreading themselves out all over the map. Mojo Jones has been pretty much away from his team the entire time since that tower fell, but oh, Lee Sin.
Yeah, Eiler jumps straight onto Wombat, kicks him out. Maybe not expecting Xander to be there. Xander moves in with the Dragon's Descent, but Tibbers will stun him up, so that is going to be a dead Xander right there. Now I Am the Meta gets exhausted. Oh, the turnaround here with the Yasuo ulti. Yasuo going to pick up a double kill, and that will be it, as Yubing will pick up the Leona. So that is a 3-for-1 trade here in favor of University of Washington Tacoma. And they are now going to move on to the second-tier turret. Oh, Lieutenant Westfield tries to get in on Wombat. He is going to use all of his dashes, and he is now going to have to deal with a very angry tower that's going to try and kill him. No, Mojo Jones, I think, has got this. There goes a wind wall to block the auto attacks there from Mojo Jones. Yubing jumps under turret, and he's going to die. As this is now just kind of ridiculous, as I Am the Meta is now going to try and deal with Xander. Eiler jumps in, but those were 2 deaths for University of Washington Tacoma that I don't think needed to happen.
Especially considering before that, as I say that, it's a support fight, as Camelot and Daedra are going to go in, but now Xander and, well, the rest of these teams show up. Now it's a 2v3, and, yeah, well, make that a 2v4.
Yeah, Road Camelot gets pulled in by ZLH. ZLH drops the hammer, but not before Mojo Jones can get the killing blow. So that is going to be a kill over to St. Martin's, who have kind of had a little bit of a resurgence here thanks to those 2 kills and the chase that followed. I Am the Meta just dodging the skill shots as best he can. And Lieutenant Westfield looks like he wants to go in. I don't know if he has the... Oh, there is his Cyclone.
Yeah, Steel Tempest not quite connecting there, not giving him the chance to use Last Breath. But again, I'm going to point back to these teams being very disjointed and not really acting in a way that's helping them on either side really get closer to victory. We've seen Tacoma dive for kills under turrets, and we've seen split themselves off. We've seen the same thing come from St. Martin's, splitting off, not really wanting to fight with this big team fight oriented team. And I'm really wondering what's gonna lead to one of these teams winning, because right now it looks to me like the team that makes the last mistake is gonna lose rather than the team that makes the good play, as again we see Eiler just dive on someone with no support whatsoever.
Well, looking at it, everyone except for I Am the Meta is just sitting outside this dragon, and if St. Martin's ever wanted a time to go in, oh, ZLH gets dropped. But now the Shockwave does a great job of dealing with almost every member of the team here. I Am the Meta trying to drop in as much damage as he can from the outside, but 4 of his teammates will probably drop for this. Oh no, only 3 at this point, but he does not have the faith to go in and deal with Xander, Mojo, and Wombat at the same time. So Washington Tacoma starts out getting a great pick onto ZLH, but the Shockwave from Wombat really turned the tides there.
Yeah, ZLH really overextends there, doesn't even use Apprehend, pretty much doesn't use any skills whatsoever. Ends up using his using Decimate once and then just dying. But it was enough to get them to group together. Xander uses Dragon's Descent right over the top of them, gets the ball on him, Command Shockwave comes through, and that's really what this team is built to do. Either with Leona or Shyvana, get a big Shockwave, get a bunch of them grouped together and low, and let Vayne clean up the fight from there. But
right.
because St. Martin's is rarely together as a 5-man team, they're not getting the most out of their team comp. Like we see right now, ZLH is just sitting in the top lane farming. He's now coming down to try and defend this turret, but this team is just so good at 5v5ing, and they just refuse to do it for some reason. They're just letting I Am the Meta and the rest of this Tacoma team just push them down, grab objectives for free here and there. And here we go, Xander! Nope.
Oh, the Shockwave there does not land on anyone. There goes the kick, which will get Lieutenant Westfield into the fight. He is now going to deal with ZLH. I Am the Meta and Westfield now going to try and get in onto Wombat. They will pick up the ace, but they will lose Lieutenant Westfield in the ensuing chaos. And now they are going to use Tibbers to try and tank up this turret as best they can while they wait for another wave to come in.
Yep, and this is what you see when your team does not 5v5 together all that well, so Eiler dies for no reason there.
Yeah, Eiler drops the turret, and now it is up to Tacoma to put in the full retreat, but I think they will be happy with the results. They pick up an ace, they pick up 2 towers, and all in all was a great turnout for them.
Yep, they pick up that inner tower, and then they pick up the inhibitor tower for the cost of one of their members. Eventually, Eiler went down for free. Not sure what his thinking there was. But they've expanded their gold lead out to about 7k. 7,000 gold, and they've established a 4-turret lead. We're a little bit after the 20-minute mark, and I don't think either of these teams are really strong enough to just outright do the Baron without suffering immensely. But I think you're going to see both these teams start moving towards the top side a little bit more. We've seen the bottom side of the map be almost left alone for large chunks of time now. The only thing we're seeing now is Mojo Jones go down there to clean up a particularly large wave. But St. Martin's really has to make a choice here. They really either have to commit to a 5v5 team, and that means staying together and trying to force fights wherever they can, or they need to commit to keeping their objectives clean. Right now they're not doing both. There's a 5-man push coming down here from Washington Tacoma. There's an open inhibitor. Vayne isn't even here, so they really can't go in. And Eilers, and here we go. They're going to try and start this.
Yeah, there's the Dragon Descent into the team fight. Shockwave picks up a couple, but not before Westfield just goes on his rampage right now. I Am the Meta picks up a double kill, and now they are just looking to pick up Mojo Jones. Mojo Jones will drop to Lee Sin. So double for Westfield, double for Meta, and a finished up kill for Eiler in what was a perfect team fight for Tacoma.
Yeah, a missed Shockwave there, and Xander going in without a whole lot of help spells pretty much doomed for these teams, as the death timers at this point are just long enough to finish off the game, and it is going to be a 23-minute victory, 24-14 in favor of Washington Tacoma. They are going to move on to meet the University of Utah in the semifinal round of the Western Regional of Collegiate Games. That is going to be all for us tonight. We've seen 2 games tonight, and pretty decent games at that.
Yeah, they've been nice. One thing I would like to bring up that it's just an odd build path here for Xander on that Shyvana. He brought in kind of the redundancy of Ancient Golem and Merc Treads.
Yeah, and I was questioning the Merc Treads the early Merc Treads buy, and then to get the extra tenacity, which actually doesn't stack, from the Golem. So maybe not the most optimal things in the world there.
Yeah, maybe just a point of something that can be learned from this game is there were probably more optimal paths for him to build. Not that I really think this game hinged on what he bought.
No.
It was pretty clear that Tacoma had the better engagement here. They were calling out the right targets, and they were getting the ultis where they needed them to. So, a good game for them. I'll look forward to seeing them later on in this tournament. But I do believe that is all for us for tonight. Just, it's been a long day.
Yeah, bit of a long day, but nonetheless, 2 solid games. We saw in the first one, Santa Clara University defeat their opponents and move on. They're going to face CSU Long Beach in their semifinal, and we just watched Washington Tacoma defeat their opponents and move on, and they're going to face the University of Utah in their regional semifinals, which I believe will be taking place next weekend. Let me pull up the schedule here real fast.
I do believe that is correct.
There we go. Nope, that's not it. Yes, the 14th.
All right, so good enough. Otherwise, that is it for us tonight, folks, and we are going to leave you with a fine salute. So, I am Pepitas Nestle, he is Pax Britannica, and we will see you later.
Thanks for watching.